Great. Excellent. Welcome everyone to another episode of the OpenJS Foundation's Cross-Project Council meeting. Today is March 5th of the year 2024. Thanks everybody for joining. I'm gonna grab the link here and add it to the minutes and we will get started. So let's start off with any announcements. Anything? Nothing? Really? All right, cool.
Well, we have a standards collab space meeting following this, and later today we have a package metadata interoperability collab space as well. So if those two things are of interest or any of them, check out our calendar. There is a little calendar icon link on the homepage of our website. You can click on that, download it to your calendar of choice.
Great. All right, cool. Anything else before we get into the next bit here? If not, next item is board updates. I don't know if there's anything on that side because we haven't had a meeting in a couple weeks.
Nothing? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Mm-hmm.
So next up are the staff updates. There's waiting on legal info, waiting on staff update, and waiting on website updates. I can bounce through the issues if we want. I see somebody highlighted. I don't know if that was you, Ben, or whomever.
Yeah, I was just highlighting so that I could click the link.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. So waiting on legal info. Develop process for OpenJS to handle certificate renewals is one.
I should update this because we've done this.
Okay.
And so we've done this successfully for Node, and we've also done this for Electron.
Great.
So I'll polish up a little documentation. I can close this out.
Okay, excellent. That's the newest one. There are three other ones that are older. Requirements for projects releasing internal projects to third-party contributor, enable ability to have pseudonymity in the easy CLA, and requirements for projects ingesting other existing external projects. I don't know if assuming no updates on those ones. Where's my list of issues here? You're already the next one, Ben. Any updates on staff updates? Nonviolent communication, strategic workplace, conflict resolution training. Any update there?
No, Wes gave me a contact of someone. I need to connect with her. So.
Okay, great.
If there's anything I can do there to help, let me know.
Yeah, it's just been, a time resource thing.
Okay, great. Let's see, close that. And then the last one is website update. See what this is. Nothing in there. Great. Cool. So those are the staff updates.
But before you move on, I was just looking at the staff update one. There's an old one in there for loopback. And by old, I mean like from 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen this before. I was wondering if this is something I should
which number, what issue number?
Follow up on. It's 885.
Yeah, I remember that there's some lingering stuff with loopback that we should double back on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, why did that one not show up in my
There was
list?
a dependency license issue we should follow up on, but that had a long shelf life to resolve.
Okay. All right, great. I noticed too, now that I'm back in the Zoom call, we have a couple of folks who I don't recognize, but I don't know if we want to take a moment and welcome anyone new here. Joey Guerra, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and Daniel O.
Hi, yeah, Guerra's fine. It's if you want to hear the Spanish accent, it's Guerra. Rolling the R's can be difficult sometimes. Hi everyone. Yeah, I just to kind of name drop, I used to work with Paula and just know her and she kind of talked to me a little bit about OpenJS, and I was interested in, kind of participating as much as I can. I took over maintenance of the Hubot. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Hubot. So I'm just trying to engage a little and learn a little and be curious, and so that's me.
Great,
Yeah,
welcome.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or anything.
Mhm.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel,
Mhm.
Hey, hi. Do I sound like a robot?
you do.
You absolutely do.
We will all serve the machines eventually. Hi. So I am a JavaScript dev of over 10 years. I am looking to expand my portfolio so I can survive the layoff madness and help others in my spot. Long story short, I'm interested in data visualization in the open web, especially in application with the semantic web. So I've been doing research on, kind of, I'm really big on web standards, and I wanted to approach it from a web standards mindful perspective, which led me to this group. So I plan to be a fly on the wall and gain experience as I learn from all of you.
Great.
Great.
Welcome, Daniel. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, there's a standards call right after this, which is also on the calendar.openjsf.org. And then we also have a open visualization collaboration space that's very active. And I believe they have regular meetings as well. That's on the calendar.
We do have regular meetings, exactly. And they have kind of a sub website, openvisualization.org. You want to check it out?
I'm aware. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Cool. Well, welcome. Both of you.
Welcome.
Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or be helpful in any way. And we use Slack a lot too, so we got a good community. Feel free to ask any questions. Great. Excellent. So jumping back into the agenda here, getting into the actual agenda. The first one on the list here is document best practices for org and project organization. This is dealing with code of conduct, charter, security, governance, things like that. There's some comments here. I don't know if anybody, Toby's not on the call, but I don't know if anybody has anything they want to add there or suggestions, thoughts. If not, cool. Feel free to chime in on the issue, and we'll watch it as it progresses. Next is looking for members to contribute to the annual ecosystem report. Adrian is not here on the call, right? So I don't know if anybody has any context or wants to add anything to here, but there's an issue open for folks to get involved. It looks like there's been a bunch of comments. Adrian's gonna request the collaboration space, and we'll add everyone on the issue. So if you have any interest, chime in on the issue and get involved. Cool. Feel free to speak up and interrupt me. I'm moving a little fast, partially because everything at my job right now is crazy, and so I'm just like in like super fast mode right now. But also we have some time set aside at the end for a private session, so I want to make sure I get through the list here. Next up is 2024 Google Season of Docs. Ben or Paula, anybody want to comment on this one? No?
Have any additional information on this? Claudio, do you have something?
Yeah, I just
on
want to ask if, sorry, Joe, if you could repeat the issue number. I just lost it.
1247. This is the Google Season of Docs. I'll drop
Oh,
it.
yeah, 1240. Wait, was it doc shared before? Because I joined a little bit afterwards, the agenda doc.
Yeah, I can get the agenda doc in there too. Oh,
Also in the cross-project council on GitHub, you'll see an agenda as well.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's the agenda issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've been here before, Claudio. I know you.
So I has anyone here run a Season of Docs program before?
The
I've
Cross
only
Project
run
Council
a.
has, but Brian Warner, I think, ran it last time. Sorry, go ahead,
Okay.
Cloud.
I was going to say I've ran the Summer of Code program before. I'm not sure how similar they are in terms of the whole
They're
thing.
they're completely different, yeah. So the only reason I ask is so I'm running Summer of Code on a different project, and it's a lot of information to try and ingest and figure out what to do. And this is the first time I'm doing Season of Docs, and it's the same problem. There's a
Okay.
lot of information and trying to understand what to do. So I was just, if anyone knows anyone, I'm also checking internally at LF, but folks that have run this before, send them my way, because like I think like a 20 to 25-minute meeting would just help me understand a little bit more
Yeah.
exactly
I
what to do.
think
I have like the
there's
timelines and stuff. Yeah.
there's someone I remember that Postman, which is an organization that is very close to the Node project and Electron, they run Summer of Code, sorry, Season of Docs every year. So I think there's someone there that might be able to help you out. I think her name is Alejandra Quetzal. I think she runs that program there.
Okay, cool.
And
Thank you.
Ben, maybe the Open Web Docs folks and Jory.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Mhm.
We have time, so I'm not panicking yet, but I feel like I want to get a handle on this in the next week or so, because it is significantly different than Summer of Code.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, but in the meantime, while I'm trying to go through 300 pages of Google Docs, there is, in that issue, there's a link to another issue where you can open a PR to add your idea to. And so like we've already got 2 there, but if other folks want to add stuff, do it quickly, because I think I set the deadline for submissions to be, hang on, I just need to bring it up, March 15th. Yeah.
Yeah, so far, if I recall, Unjishi and the Node.js website were interested. It's also because something that requires a lot of time, so I'm not sure if, how other projects, um, you know. But did we make also member-wide announcement? Like, did we tell to
Mhm.
how?
I believe Electron is participating as well, and Eric may be on point on that, so.
Or do they want to take part of that as part of OpenJS, or are they going to do it
They're
through
doing it
Postman
on their own, yeah, which is
on
another.
their
option.
own?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Sorry for asking, but do they have any interest in making it a shared effort with us, or do they just want to run that by themselves?
What part shared? Just the experience or?
Yeah, like the org part being under the OpenJS org instead of Electron as another org on.
Well, they've already submitted, so they've made that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's fine
it's
too.
right.
Yeah.
No, completely. I'm just,
Yeah. But Eric and I'm sure will share his experience, their experience.
Cool. All right, great. So I will move along to the next issue here. This is an issue that I created a while ago. Sorry, issue 1243, community voting members make project and community representation simpler. I don't know where we stand on this. I know we've talked about it. I would look to you, perhaps even Ben, since this is a little bit related to the election stuff, but is it kind of we're leaving things as they are for now until we kind of get some things figured out and then can really decide on this?
I mean, I think the the election calendar issue has been open for quite a while. I think it's good to go, unless they are otherwise, and I haven't seen comments on that. So I'd like to just move forward with that. I'd have to sort of remember where we landed on what to do with impact and community, and if we wanted to change the classes or not. I'm happy to help here, but I do think this is probably something that should come from the CPC.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something in my recent absence.
No, I
Cool.
think
So great. Let's get the election stuff sorted, and then maybe we use this when we're not in a meeting that we're not tight on time or in
Yeah.
a working session. We'll figure it out. Okay, cool. So we'll double back to this one later. Great. And for folks who are like totally confused as to what we're talking about, we have a few voting members in the CPC, and their definitions and titles are kind of confusing and not really that important because we all kind of are working for the same goals, and so we're looking at simplifying things. Okay, cool. So I'm going to move on to the next issue, which is 1241, refined CPC definition of consensus. Ben, you opened this up, but I imagine it was from, conversations originally posted by Michael in 1230 comments. Toby's got some comments. I don't know if there's any updates here or what we think. Okay.
I wonder if is what's in there capture an agreement or just a proposal, right? Because I think that's the first thing is do people agree with the 2 points really there, which is non-present members have the opportunity to object. If that's the case, it's just a matter of writing a paragraph, right?
Yeah.
Are you saying that's not enough criteria to object? Like to meet the threshold?
I think the discussion came out of when we were talking about the travel fund, and at one point it was proposed that hey, the people who show up to the meeting, they're going to make a final decision, right? And my point was, I don't think that's the consensus definition we've been working to. The consensus definition we've been working to is consensus of all of our members, not just the people who can make the meeting. What that means is we need to figure out, which is the second part. If you're not, we can get together and we can say 9 of the 20 members were in consensus, and they all agreed to this thing. And it's probably fair at that point to assume that maybe everybody else will agree, but we need to give the other people an option to say, wait a second, I don't agree with that, right? So it's that for us to say we have consensus, we should basically make sure everybody has the option or opportunity and enough time to have said, no, I don't agree with that. And if they don't object, then we say we have consensus, right? And if you read the discussion of consensus seeking, the publicly available ones, they really talk about, I think they're oriented towards meetings, right? You're in a meeting, everybody's in the meeting, you get quorum. We never talk about, do we have quorum or not quorum? And even in the
Robert's
sense of
laws.
quorum, in my mind, consensus isn't consensus among half the people. It's consent, we're trying to reach consensus against everybody. So anyway, it's just out of that. And so these are kind of the two principles that we can say, we can workshop that into something that addresses that concern. And that was why this is open.
But yeah, maybe it is what we call our lazy consensus for those who participate, but if 9 out of 20 weigh in, we don't wait for 11. We have the time open.
Provided they've gotten an
Enough
email.
notice and opportunity.
Yeah, basically you don't have to get a +1 from everybody. You just are saying they had the option for some reasonable amount of time and they didn't say anything. That's equivalent to consensus.
Yeah, so maybe a note about quorum is not required, but encouraged or something.
So I'm happy to write up something as long as we have the generally if this group all says that's how we think we should be operating, I can write up a paragraph. If it's more we still have diverse views, then we probably need something else to have that discussion, right?
I'm curious how everybody kind of, how you kind of decide, okay, let's go take action to the next step.
So for example, a perfect example of how that would work, in the Node project, is either like through a GitHub issue or through discussion in a meeting. We come up with like somebody comes up with a proposal, and anybody from the group can make a proposal and say, you know, we've had this discussion. I think this is what we were agreeing to. Here's the proposal. The proposal could be, we're going to approve these 5 travel requests, right? Then, because you probably didn't have everybody in that discussion. If it was a meeting, for example, you didn't have everybody, we would follow that through an email or an issue, which says, here's the document discussion, here's the proposal. Anybody have any concerns, objections? If we don't hear from you by, 3 days from now, we'll assume that we have consensus, right? And people can jump in and say, oh, no, that's not what I want. Or if they say nothing, when we hit that time, we say, yes, we have consensus. But it's a matter of like in a meeting itself, and even if you had 51% of the people, consensus seeking is meant to try and make sure we've accommodated people's views. So like it's not we want 50, it's not like we're effectively voting every time, right? It's not that 51% matters, it's that out of everybody, nobody objected, right? And so that's why, like in a meeting, you're not going to have everybody. An open issue, you can say, well, it was an open issue, everybody's seen it, so like by a certain time, we could assume we have consensus. Does that answer the question?
Kind of. It's still like, is there like, hey, here's a timeline.
Right, like in many of them,
steps.
you'll see in the issue, it's like, here's the proposal. Unless we hear any objections by this date, this time, we'll assume we have consensus.
And Michael, can you explain about if one, say 11 people think it's thumbs up and one person says it's thumbs down, how do you?
Then you go to a vote, right? Like consensus seeking is intended, I think, to try and have like, not just have 51% of the people always just making the decision. It's like, we should work together to try and find something. So like if somebody says, I have an objection, you shouldn't just say, oh, let's vote on it. It should be, let's have a discussion and see if we can come to the point where we do have consensus. Maybe there's a compromise, maybe there's whatever.
Yes.
Once but you can exhaust that. Like at some point you say, well, like, no, we've got 2 different views. You're never going to agree.
Yeah.
Then we actually have a vote. And so like in the Node project, you can see in the TSC repo, we record the specific votes that happen, which are not that often, because usually we have a long discussion and like it could take quite a while, but you end up with like, okay, we came to an agreement. That's how we're moving forward. Some very specific times you end up with, no, we acknowledge we're never going to agree. And you resolve that through a vote.
Yeah, that's it. That little middle area is, I think, a little important part to call out about if there's not consensus, we'll work to resolve it through discussion. If that doesn't work, then go to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds like consensus is everybody agrees, and another caveat is everybody who's active or engaged agrees. Is that true?
You don't need everybody to speak up, but everybody needs to have had the opportunity to speak up, and not speaking up implies agreement.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So you're going to work on.
I guess, yeah, it sounds like I don't hear anybody saying, no, that's not the way we should operate, or not the way we already operate. So I can write up a paragraph that tries to capture that as a.
I think it is the way we already operate, and you're right. Very rare to have a vote, even I think my experience watching the Node project. So
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you, Michael. Put a note in here. Great. So next one is Meredith's pass on regular members. This is issue 1, 2, 3, 4, which is fun. Oh, this is this an issue? Yeah, it is. Okay. There's a bunch of comments that are marked as resolved. Oh, okay. I guess. Interesting. Okay. So I think Jordan, maybe you tagged a bunch of people, and people were responding about staying or not staying.
Yeah, and then the deadline passed, but I wasn't paying attention to it. And then Toby put up a PR doing the actual removal, and that has since landed. So um, the pass has been done, and we can do it again next 6 months, year, 2 years, whenever we feel like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should
All right,
we,
we should-
sorry,
Let's
go ahead.
tag Kylie, maybe we have that on our website as well, our CPC members. So make sure that we update that.
Do you have the link to that PR just out of interest?
Yeah. Whoever grabs it first. I'll pull it up.
I got something here. Oh no, that's a commit. Closes. Nope, that's not what I want. Sorry.
Or I guess which,
Oh,
because I'm just
it hasn't
looking-
merged yet. I'm sorry. It's
Okay.
1269. So
Okay, that's why I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it's
Right.
stamped, but
Okay.
has not yet been merged.
Okay, found it now. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm gonna tag Kylie in the PR and just told
That's
her
great.
awareness, read the website. Cool. Great. And so I don't know if we should put this in like the, dates and reminders thing to like do a yearly pass or something like that. I don't know. Maybe we have that as an action item for the issue. Where's the issue?
It might also come up. I know Ben will talk about emeritus project, and I suggested that there's sort of a rhythm of the foundation, that there are some things you do every year. So maybe that can be one of the things we tag to that yearly kind of health of the foundation, or even state of the foundation work that's going on.
Yeah, or maybe we just remember to consider this when we're doing elections or something too, something like that. So I dropped a note on the issue.
The organizing part of me definitely thinks having a list of these things would be great, but
Yeah. All right, cool. So we have 7 minutes before we want to jump into a private session. So I'm gonna jump to the next issue, which is refactor election calendar. This has been discussed. Do you want to comment, Ben, or what's the plan here?
I think this is good to go. But of course, I want to be sure that we have discussed this quite a bit. We've got a lot of thumbs up in it. So what I'd like to do is update the important dates doc that we have in the CPC repo that has election dates in it with this information. And then it means that elections, the first set of elections, we would start that process in April, early April.
Okay. Great. Sounds good. Excellent.
Hey.
That's exciting. Great. So moving on. Issue 1185, revisit emeritus stage definitions. Ben, you opened this up a little while ago. Looks like maybe there was a meeting.
Oh yeah, we've got a regular weekly meeting on this one.
Oh,
And
cool.
the first thing that we've decided is that, well, no one can pronounce emeritus, so we want to change that. We've actually had some really good discussion about this. So it's primarily been me, Paula. Where's you? I thought I saw Ulysses. Ulysses is here somewhere. And so yeah, this has been pretty good. And I don't know. I don't want to talk too much. Paula and Ulysses, do you want to share maybe some of your comments about how the discussion's going, where you see us going? I know, Paula, you had some really good ideas about doing the survey and like the oh, your mic might not be working.
Yeah, it might not be great.
Oh,
but
it works.
Is that better? Okay, just getting a little closer to it. I'd suggested that maybe we just have a heartbeat every year. It's like you send out a little email or survey to all of the projects, and then that's sort of a indication of, are they still there? You gotta ping them, and then the ping, if you don't get anything response from the ping, that might be a signal that maybe we should try to pursue emeritus or some other type of action. So it's just part of the flow and the rhythm of the foundation. Ulysses, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think one of the key challenges for us here was like how to determine if the project is kind of okay or not. So there are certain things. One side for that is, for example, when the maintainers got tired, exhausted, and so on, and we need to start thinking on a replacement. So maybe that's something that the foundation can, try to facilitate, find like the new generation. And also there are other projects which is just end of life because technological reasons. So that's fair enough. Also, there has been some discussions around security implies, for making releases aside of that, for security reasons and so on. So yeah, honestly, it has been a really, really interesting process for learning. So yeah.
Yeah, I think our next steps is, we've got a lot of thoughts and we've had a lot of discussions. So I think it's probably just writing up, I think, what our recommendation is. I did want to mention that in the security working group session yesterday, we talked a lot about the difference between end of life and retired and what that means. And we also talked a lot about, what does support look like for both of those projects. The last thing I'll mention is that we also have a LFX tool called Community Insights, which can give us a lot of information about GitHub activity. It's opt-in, and so we're actually going to do a pilot on Express, assuming all goes well, to see how that works, and then we'll come back to the CPC and show you all how it works. And then if other folks want it on their on their repos or their organizations, we can go through a process of adding that. Jordan, I see your hand raised.
Oh yeah, that was just about the heartbeat stuff. Like I think that we should try and come up with metrics as an indicator that a heartbeat is needed. And if a heartbeat is needed, then it's like because most projects will just like those metrics will just base them out of being inactive or candidate for being retired or whatever you want to call it. And then the heartbeat only kicks in when there isn't those other metrics. And then the combination seems like it would be super effective because then that allows you to automate a lot of it, but it doesn't accidentally catch projects in automation, which tends to happen with like some of the scorecard metrics and stuff. So yeah, I think that's great.
Wes?
Yeah, so I asked one of my first questions in the issue where you proposed it for Express, but I don't think it's gotten answered yet. So I thought I'd raise it here. We have multiple orgs. It was unclear whether or not that is going to work. Does it work across multiple orgs at once to aggregate?
So I am meeting with one of the developers on the project on Thursday to go through what our recommended setup would be for a multi-organization project like this. So as soon as I hear back, I'll let you all know.
Okay, that'd be great. And then I think the other thing that I would like to bring up, and I'm not sure this will be an issue, but the focus of these kind of things should usually be on growing the project, not punishing the project. So if we're talking about inactivity or is this project dead, we should be very careful to avoid communities being able to look at this and go, that one's dead, and then like make some unilateral judgment that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So like whatever metrics we're raising up, we just need to make sure that we're telling the right story. So if it's commits activity and a project is very stable and doesn't see much commit activity, that does not mean it's dead. And we should not have tooling in place that lets community members declare it dead based on some, thing. So like, just want to make sure we're very careful.
Yep.
And I was going to bring that stuff up in the Express process as we go forward, but figured, we're talking about now, I'll bring it up early just to make sure that we don't set ourselves up for that just a month from now with Express.
Yep. We're hoping to carve out 20 minutes, so this will probably be the last item on the agenda, but I want to get to the hands raised. Michael?
Just very quick question. There was like a V1 and a V2, and I think V1 reported metrics for Node, but doesn't for V2. Is that the same thing as you're mentioning?
It might be. I can double check how Node has been set up. Was that useful for you, the V1?
I know we looked at it. I mean, there was one place where we're looking like where the collaborators came from, but that was more of a personal thing versus a project using it. But I'm just wondering if like there's another one or if it's like you go we went there and it says like, hey, here's some numbers, and it says, oh, but there's a new one. And when we go to the new one, there aren't any numbers. So just confirming.
We're
it's
talking,
like that.
are we talking the LFX tool, the
Yeah,
insight?
I think so.
Oh yeah, that's made dramatic progress, I would
Yeah.
say, in the last, yeah.
I may just have to opt you back into V2, but let me double check, and I won't do anything without speaking with the
Sure.
node first. But
Yeah.
let me do a little poking around.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Claudio?
No, I actually had something to add, but folks already clarified it, so I'm good on my side.
Okay, great. So let's call the public meeting a wrap here. We need to go into a private session and talk about some private cross-project council stuff. Unfortunately, for some of the folks who are new here, this is for members only. But we really appreciate you joining, and if you keep joining, then we should, it's very easy to become a member. It's just a pull request. As long as you're, doing some stuff, we're happy to have you. I mean, we're happy to have you in these meetings regardless, but in terms of being a member, that's a low bar. Cool. So, yeah, thank you, everyone. We're going to close the stream. Appreciate y'all.